Hey everyone, welcome back to another recap podcast from SNXweave, where we give quick weekly recaps of news and important updates from the previous week from the Spartan Council and core contributors, as well as discuss what the Grants Council and ambassadors are up to, so let's get started. The core contributors have started using Notion to track SIPs in progress, so be sure to check out our blog post for a screenshot of last week's Notion page. Their top priorities at the moment are improving atomic swaps, continuing work on debt migration, and starting to get V3 SIPs to audit. There are also now 3 engineers working on version 2 of Perps, and there should be a SIP presentation for this in the coming weeks. And in V3 updates, SIP 301 is next on the list for a draft implementation, and DB is currently working on the draft implementation of SIP 305. These proposals are for V3 accounts and staking incentives respectively. Noah also explained that SIP 307 for the V3 router proxy architecture has been simplified a bit by Ale. These simplified changes include the following. Some of the responsibility of the deployer has been descoped. The SIP will now just generate the router contract that allows for the contract size workaround that Ale described last week. There will be a peripheral tool to get the contract on chain. The SIP can just focus on the generation of the contract rather than the deployment. The Spartan Council wanted another presentation of SIP 307 before putting it to a vote, so it was presented again yesterday. Last week, there was also a discussion regarding merge prep. It's possible that Synthetics may need to pause all on-chain activity just prior to the merge and resume once it goes live, which will require governance input. The council is proposing pausing minting, burning, trading, and liquidation, so Caleb will be drawing up a SIP detailing this procedure. Kane also recommended specifying a number of blocks that the protocol would be paused for, rather than making the resume function dependent on the Spartan Council. The consensus was that the plan should be finalized and communicated as soon as possible because the implications may reach beyond just Synthetics users. SUSD, for example, is used on several partner protocols. There were also a few SIP presentations last week, so let's briefly review them. The first was SIP 266 for deprecation of the dilution function. Terra presented this SIP which proposes the deprecation of the dilution function used within the Spartan Council governance system. The objective here is to deprecate the dilution mechanism to pass SCCP 300 defining unanimity. SCCP 300 has been put to a vote 3 times and hasn't passed due to the unanimous requirement for meta-governance proposals. There were some suggestions arguing that specific definitions of non-participation be laid out before moving forward with the other related SIP, SIP 263. Daniel said, sure, we can hand off the dismissing of the Spartan Council members to the PDAO, but the reasons would be more anecdotal at this point. I think we need to fully define what non-participation looks like. The next presentation was SIP 269 to create an OP perp. This SIP, presented by Bangry Goose, is a proposal to offer OP perp futures on Optimism. OP already has the highest daily volume on Optimism, and Chainlink already has the feed ready, so Caleb will be reviewing this feed to see what the fees would look like on this offering. The last presentation was SIP 268 for a curve integration. Caleb presented this SIP which builds on top of SIP 267's direct integration functionality in order to offer an end-to-end cross-asset swap function at reduced fees built on top of Synthetics atomic exchanges and Curve's stable swap pools. This is the first integration proposed within the direct integration framework that Caleb presented last week. This SIP would allow users to trade between non-synths at reduced fees where the trade is executed by hopping over Curve's stable swap pools using Synthetics atomic swap function as a bridge. Daniel asked how far along in the implementation this currently is, and Caleb said they should be able to provide timelines after it's voted on. In Grants Council updates, the wrapper UI is done and ready to go. Joey's just cleaning up the source code to make it more consistent with Synthetics practices for security reasons. As for the stats page, Perps data still needs to be integrated, but the developer should easily be able to integrate data from Quenta, which includes 99.9% of all futures trading. Caleb has also provided the developer with the script he uses to calculate the correct staking percentage. Longer term, the dev will be building a mechanism that allows for easy data import from multiple protocols once Perps v2 is out and there are new integrators. There's currently no update on the mint contract for the NFT project, but the team provided some creative input on the lore and the writer will be taking that feedback and incorporating it. In Ambassador Council updates, the team's in the process of working on their new website. Jade is handling the designs for this site and has given the ambassadors some draft concepts to review. The Notion page is currently ready, and the team is working on the process for sharing it with the community. And that's it for today's updates. Be sure to check out our weekly recap blog post, share this podcast link, and let us know what you think and what you'd like to hear more about from SNXweave. Thanks for listening.